Primal Chaos. Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Now, Poppy. I have only ever cast a cursory glance in Poppy's direction insofar as I only really know who she is by name, and I know that she's been around for a really long time. My original impression was that she was a character many, many years ago in some kind of an avant-garde kind of, you know, almost Lady Gaga-esque, but not quite, artistic self-expression via social media like YouTube and things like that, where she would play almost like a virtual character, and it was more of an ASMR experience more than anything else. Since then, you know, I've sort of heard that, okay, she does a lot more sort of stuff. She does some music and things like that, and I've heard about her evolving through a whole bunch of different genres. And so she was, I guess in a way, she was really kind of a pioneer of that cult of personality, kooky, self-expression, pure artist kind of thing. But clearly with a very specific vision, which to me is really impressive. I mean, again, I am more than an outsider looking in. This is just a cursory glance, like I said, but I almost feel like I sense the spirit of what's going on here. And I may be way off base, but that said, I have no idea what to expect. I imagine it's going to have some sort of electronic or EDM elements to it, because one of the real fundamental things that stood out to me with her sort of art style videos, early art style videos, was this ever-present, detuned, almost dissonant or semi-atonal synth parts that would play underneath what she was doing that always had a really ominous kind of early dystopian cyberpunk kind of feel to them. It reminds me a little bit of like Blade Runner sort of thing, you know, and they're using sort of like dissonant sort of chords and stuff to make you feel uncomfortable. And it just, you know, I don't know, that sort of captured my attention because it's, again, there's definitely vision and high levels of production there, even in the earliest of videos. I'm going to jump right in because I really don't know what to expect, and I'm kind of talking out of school here a little bit. Poppy Spit. Now, I'm also to understand that this is a cover of, I believe, a Kitty song. So, we'll, you know, I'm just going to listen to it off its own merit because I don't really know Kitty's material either. So I will just talk about this as if it was a Poppy production, right? Okay, wow. Kind of got a drum and bass thing going on there. Okay. Okay, before we get out of the intro, man, already it's chaos. You got first, hang on, let's start again. So again, these weird detuned atonal sort of synthesizer parts, like classic synths sort of things, you know, like, well, a classic sort of 90s, I would say, not classic like 70s synths, but 90s kind of, again, drum and bass. It comes straight into something that sounds like The Prodigy, right? With this. But then it just drops into this detuned sort of thing that sort of evokes much more modern, you know, metalcore sort of elements or something like that, or deathcore even. And then the drums kind of straighten out a little bit too. I mean, this just feels like Nine Inch Nails now, you know? Wow, okay.
The guy who crept through the shadows every day to clutch his own conclusion, to watch all the blood as it drips from your veins, you coward! Godspeed! May your death come quickly.
Wow, her voice is kind of interesting in that she's doing more of like a fry scream. There's definitely distortion, and it even sounds specifically chosen to be digital distortion, which always sounds more it sounds less warm and sort of has like a nice character This is a sort of like an ugly, glitchy sounding, staticky kind of distortion, which fits this all perfectly. Whoever produced the actual recording of the track did an amazing job there. But it's interesting to me that it seems like she's singing with like a high fry tone, like a row, row. But at the same time, it sounds like she's getting that sound through literal screaming. So when people talk about screaming as far as like harsh vocals and stuff go, there's two ways of doing it. There's literally like how, if you've ever known a guy who's been to too many football games and is always screaming at the ref, and then you listen to them talk and their voice is destroyed, it's because they're always screaming at the top of their lungs with no technique and no compression and no breath control and just getting like, ah, sort of thing. But like a trained metal vocalist knows how to produce that sound safely, and it's a much more controlled process, and it's more of like a rah. And see, I can do that all day. Rah into a note. It's not like I don't have to readjust my throat to go back into singing and stuff. It's a whole different thing. But see, what makes this interesting is it feels really brutal because it sounds to me like she's literally screaming. And it's just, it adds like this weird level of authenticity to the passion that she's putting into the performance. I could be way off base there. I don't know. Maybe Poppy is an incredibly well-trained harsh vocalist. I don't know. Again, I'm the new guy, right? So you guys fill me in the comments. But to me, I'm just hearing too much of an actual sound rather than just pure distortion. And it sounds like the other thing too is, I don't know who came up with the idea of putting false lashes on the lips, but it's actually creepy and really cool. Yeah, she's yelling until it breaks up, right?
Through the shadows every day, to clutch your own conclusion, to watch all the blood as it drips from your veins, you coward. Godspeed. May your death come quickly.
Real gated snare too. Man, I'm hearing so many influences in the production. It's crazy. But it just keeps on coming back to, there's a little bit of that sort of early 90s London kind of drum and bass, house style kind of thing. And again, not a hugely knowledgeable about that genre, but it just evokes things like, Fat of the Land kind of Prodigy era sort of stuff, or, 9 Inch Nails. The hats there were just killing me. They were it just sounds like 9 Inch Nails, But what's crazy about this, and I guess sort of also what's interesting about like Trent Reznor's work and stuff, especially Downward Spiral or kind of 9 Inch Nails, is like that. This production could be at home in a punk show or a metal show or an EDM festival, because it's got that sort of high energy pump to it that sort of, makes you want to just jump up and down. But this has got enough edginess and so much enough brutality to it that it sounds metal as well. And so it can sort of fit in anywhere. It's really amazingly you know how I always talk about defying genre is kind of what tickles me more than anything. This definitely does that for sure. I just want to go back a little bit and get back into the zone because I'm sort of so overwhelmed. I'm not really picking out a lot of the cool elements of it. That's sick. That's just 90s as hell. Dude, I mean, when I talked earlier about the vision, right, of the understanding the self-awareness of what the project is and where it's going and where it's headed, there doesn't appear to be any sort of improvisational element to this. Everything is strategically mapped out. That's the vibe I'm getting for the trajectory of Poppy, right? And again, this fits... You know, it fits the aesthetic of what she was doing back in 2011 as a more evolved sort of kind of aesthetic and things like that. Like if you were to consider it, like you think about early Poppy standing in front of the white screen, dressed as a little robot girl, doing like very sort of menial tasks with ominous music. You could almost liken it to the situation we have right now with AI and sort of going, okay, if Poppy is an analog for the character of artificial intelligence, like something like ChatGPT now, and you can have a conversation with it, and it's, you know, oftentimes it doesn't fully understand what you want, and it doesn't, but it does its job really well, and it's effective, but it's more of a proof of concept. And then over time, as technology evolves and everything comes sort of more into focus, and we get all these different revisions, suddenly you get a Poppy that's a little bit of a variant. She might have black hair. She might have a different attitude. Maybe she's less robotic. Maybe she's doing something else. Maybe they introduce more background elements. And then, you know, then you take that further along the trajectory, and now you're getting a character that's fully fleshed out with visualizations behind her. And, you know, it kind of reminds me, and again, this is something I'm not super aware of, but Hatsune Miku, right? This Vocaloid character from Japan that's fully virtual. Everything about her is artificial and created in a computer. Or, you know, something like Gorillaz, where, you know, the thing that I loved the most about when Gorillaz was sort of coming about, and I used to check out their websites and things like that, was that they just fundamentally knew who they were. The vision was always there laid out. It's like they put up a vision board and said, okay, for the next 20 years, this is what it's going to look like. And it's the project, you know. And this video here, you know, because I don't know when this was released, but I sense that it was fairly recent by comparison anyway. You've got, you know, you start out with like your old school basic sort of roadmap to, you know, like your Pac-Mans, right? And then you move on, and then suddenly you have 8-bit graphics, and then 16-bit graphics. And then you have things like Winamp, which had crazy visualizations in the early 2000s and things. And then, you know, then you sort of, everything just becomes more and more well rendered, and well, you know, you can interpret your art in a much more granular style because you now have the resources, and you have the software and the programming, and you have the ability now with incredible graphics engines and stuff to really realize whatever vision you might have, rather than Pac-Man being, you know, 16 pixels of yellow squares that move in one of two ways. Now you have fully visualized real worlds that are almost indistinguishable from real life. And I feel like Poppy's trajectory has kind of been like, imagine like an AI character starting out in 2011 and the evolution of that to now, where now she has a voice that's distorted and interesting, and she has passion in the voice rather than just being very stoic and monotone. You know, it's like it's the AI's all grown up now. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I don't know, and I don't believe that was the impetus behind this video. And I know that she's had a lot of other sort of music videos and stuff that are completely different. But as somebody who's just stepped on board and is trying to find their bearings, seems like the overarching kind of continuity to me. And it'd be real interesting to check out more stuff and figure out, you know, other places where she might have zigged or zagged or done things that seem like they're on brand for that trajectory. Anyway, this was really interesting. I'm glad I checked this out. And it seems like yet another rabbit hole that I might have to explore, at least taking a cursory glance at, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. But wow, Poppy. All right. I'm interested. As somebody who does art, I rarely refer to myself as an artist because I feel like one of the fundamental things for me that I respect in people that I deem to be true artists is that vision. It's having a recognizable style that isn't a construct. It's just who you are. It's your artistic voice. I feel like Poppy has that in spades. And I don't know that I ever did. I can draw pretty good. I design, you know, some cool t-shirts and things like that. But the conceptualization stage, I just think I'm far too scattered to have that kind of long-term vision. And so I really respect that when I see it in any kind of artist, whether it's musical or visual arts, anything. So she's captured my attention. It's up to you guys now to tell me what I need to look at next and maybe explain a little bit more where I'm off base or like what I'm missing, if anything. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty. So yeah, fill me in, guys. As always, I'm the new guy here. It's your job to fill me in. So jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Cool. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support the channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. You can also just click super thanks underneath the video as well. Also, like, share, follow, subscribe. If you know of any communities that might appreciate this reaction, please share it with them as well. That'd be great. And the more people who can, you know, fill me in with these details, the better. So that's always good. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you. I believe it was Ratacatcher on Discord who recommended this one. Thanks again. Appreciate you as well, and everyone over there. Catch you on the next one.